Gotta play the commercial thing.
Ever since being traded from Philadelphia, he's looked amazing. He's not just managing the game, he is taking it to
Sadly
the next
enough,
level. He's
just
finding
5 years
receivers.
ago, that was me. Minimal to no broadcasting training or any skills. I'm Jansen Harris, CEO of the Just Good Network. Over the last 5 years, I've come up with practical ways to get better speaking with confidence on camera and doing voiceovers. It doesn't matter if you're 5 years old, if you're 70, if you dropped out of high school, if you have a GED, if you have 15 years experience in a different field. There are practical techniques that you could do day by day to get better, week by week. And I have a training program for that. If you're interested in getting better in transparent and practical ways, inbox me today or visit us at justgoodnetwork.org. Let's get better together.
What's up, everybody? Jansen Harris here with the final play on the Just Good Network. Joining me is Mo and Kylan. We're going to be talking NBA today. Look, we're sponsored by the Level 1 Game Room and Yah Socks. Guys, it'll be in the description. Cop these swagged out socks, customized socks for the holidays. What's up, y'all?
Nothing much, you?
Good, man.
I'm doing good. NBA season has been crazy. First of all, I want to talk about these rookies. And Kylan, appreciate you coming in now. We're going to have you talking a lot of NBA. Talk to me about some of your top rookies, your top 3 rookies, maybe even a rookie people aren't talking about enough.
My top 3 rookies right now have to be Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, and Josh Giddey. Scotty Barnes, I felt like coming out of FSU, he was the most pro-ready player, and he just fits modern NBA, just perfect prototype, just a good wing that can do everything on the court. He's averaging like 16 and 8 right now. Evan Mobley's averaging 14 and 8, and Josh Giddey's averaging 9, 6, and 6. I feel like Josh Giddey surprised a lot of people just because he's from Europe, but I saw him coming, and I like his game a lot. It's just very fundamental, just like most European players are.
Speaking of Scotty Barnes, I think it was Kevin Durant who noticed his game and was like, hey, this guy is really, really good and is improving. But what made you think back at Florida State that he was the most like pro-ready guy out of everybody in this draft?
I would just say like just poise. Like I just like the way that he handles situations on the court. And it's just in today's NBA, if you don't have a wing that can do everything, you're not going to win games. That's just where the NBA is at now. And the Cavs finally got that person.
Absolutely. Mo, who are some of your top rookies? If you can give me your top 3 rookies right now, or even a name that maybe people in the national media or NBA talking heads aren't talking about, it maybe need to be talked about more. Who's on your list right now?
Well, my top 3, we got 2 of the same top 3. Evan Mobley, me and you talked about him a couple weeks ago. Scotty Barnes, I feel like he's the most versatile player right now. He can play the 4 through the 1, and if you put in a small big man, he probably could guard them too. And I like how versatile he is, and he's at the point to where he's not reached his peak, but you can see flashes of it, and you know that he'll be a great player. And also, I put in for Franz Wagner. I like what he's doing over there in Orlando. He need to work on his ball handling skills, but I mean that can come with the game. He shows flashes of being that kind of ball handler, and I think he's pretty good as well too.
Okay, look, let's move on to the Suns. 19 and 3, no loss November. I like how that thing kind of picked up on social media because it was all facts. Number 1 right now in the NBA. Them and the Warriors going back and forth. They're a half game better than the Warriors. What's going right now? We'll start with you on this one, Mo. When you watch this Suns team, why are they so successful? Why are they beating everybody and in this rhythm?
I think they just picked off of last year. I mean, it was great last year. The only difference is now they've been there. They got so close, and now they just wanted more. Devin Booker's hitting clutch shots. Chris Paul, he's hitting clutch shots, or he's either assisted on those clutch shots. And I think that they got kind of in the shadow of what the Warriors is doing and how bad the Lakers are. And everybody was talking about them. And we kind of like forgot about the Suns because they are still a great team. Nothing has really changed. They got almost everybody back, and they're doing the exact same thing they did last year, but they're just like building up on those pieces that they missed out on.
I think it was ignorant of me, Mo, to just assume. I was one of those guys who assumed, like, okay, Chris Paul, this is his last opportunity. The Lakers are going to be back. Other team, the Clippers are going to be back and great. The Nuggets, for some reason, I just thought the Suns, after being up 2-0 and then letting Giannis and the Bucks come back and win, I was like, wow, this is it. Maybe I overreacted. But the way they're playing basketball, it's amazing. This team looks in sync. They look like a team that wants to get back. Now, Kylan, what are some of the pieces that are working right now with the Suns? Obviously, they are beating everybody. No loss November, and they look to do the same thing and go for records in December. How are you feeling about this Suns team, and who's been some of the standouts?
I just think the Suns are super hungry after like getting their heart ripped out by Giannis in Game 7. He gave him a 50 ball, and I think that Devin Booker tasted that success for the first time in his career after just being a guy who we know can score. I think that's put him on another pedestal. I think Ayton is super pissed about not getting the Supermax this past offseason, so he's going to play his hardest to make sure he gets his bread this offseason. And CP3 needs a ring to cement his legacy as one of the top PGs of all time. So I think that as long as health is on their side, they can come out the West this year for sure.
Let me ask you this, Kylan, because people always talk about how hard Chris Paul is in the locker room and how he's hard on his teammates. What's made this situation work? Because it seemed like in Houston, he had some problems maybe with James Harden and some of the other guys, maybe not playing hard enough. And I'm kind of shocked this is working out with the Suns. Young team, young stars, but it seems to just mesh. Why is it working? Why is Chris Paul's personality just clicking for them? Because
of what you said, young team. They needed that veteran leadership to come into the locker room. Book is young, so a lot of the guys are just, they're going to look at him like, you're the same as me. You just get buckets. Chris Paul is a proven leader. Mm-hmm. I mean, he hasn't had the career success that other guys have had, but he's been in the playoffs. He's been in those situations where it's do or die. So he can talk to those guys and they believe in him.
Mo, Chris Paul, it seems like he's like kind of military-like doesn't play any games. You feel me, stern type of guy, hard on his teammates. Why has it worked with the Suns? Obviously, going to the finals last year, and now they're 19-3, proving haters like me wrong. You feel me? I was thinking the Suns are going to be like this 6th seed right now, or 7th, or just playing decent basketball, but not 19-3. Maybe like 11-11 or 14-10, something like that. But obviously, I was wrong. How has Chris Paul and this situation worked out right now with the Suns?
Well, with him being a veteran, like Colin said, it works better when you have young guys because they don't really know or don't have that foundation just yet. And also, when you have young guys that's willing to learn, willing to work, and willing to follow you, it's like a trickle effect. What you're doing and what you're proving to them, it will fall back on them. They'll do the same thing. They'll get on board. And that's why I feel about the Suns, because they got a bunch of young guys, but they're hungry. They want it. And they know Chris Paul has been there and he can get them there too. So it's like, okay, let's all get on the same boat here and we can make this thing work. And I feel like that's what's going on with them. Because when you see Chris Paul and Booker and them on the court together, they're talking. They're not just like bickering back and forth at each other. They're actually communicating with each other, trying to figure out how do we do this? How do we do that? So I feel like that's why it's working for them.
Absolutely. Look, final question on this Suns team. Are they the best team right now? The record says it, but if you had to say, okay, this team right now is the best in the league, do you feel like it's the Suns, Mo?
I'm going with yeah. Only reason why at first I went with the Warriors. I was saying, okay, the Warriors, they're doing their thing, but it came down to the Suns and the Warriors playing. And when I saw that game, that's when I can actually tell who was the better team. Now, when Clay gets back, I don't know. It'll probably be some change-ups, but right now I'm going with the Suns because they're clicking. They are clicking.
Kylan, who is the best team in the NBA right now?
I think it's the Warriors without a question. I respect the Suns and everything that they've done, but just for the simple fact that Steph is playing like it's 2016 again and Clay hasn't come back and Wiseman hasn't come back, I kind of think that it's over for the league. NBA championship for sure this season.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, we got comments from Hawks fans, and look, I didn't really even add a Hawks question, but I'll throw this in there. Trae Young To me, last 5 games, he's been going off. This Hawks team is catching some steam. They struggled out of the gate. They weren't playing defense at all. They looked like they had some lineup issues. Mo, how impressive has Trae Young and this Hawks team been in recent weeks?
I remember I did a video on them, and I said that if they start to be consistent more and Trae can shoot the ball better, they'll be good to go. And John Collins down there working the paint, it's been pretty good. And they, like you said, they have picked up speed. And I feel like if they can continue on the same stretch, they'll be really good. And I think last year they did this kind of something like the same thing last year. They started off rough, and they just, I don't know what, it just went up. So, I mean, I think they're getting it. It's falling back into place for them. I'm not too worried about them right now. So
absolutely. Look, I thought it was a little overreaction. A lot of Hawks fans were concerned. They were thinking, oh my gosh, Nate McMillan, what is going on? What's happening with this Hawks team? They're falling apart. And I'm like, yo, it's the NBA. It's not really the NFL. NFL, you can't come out and lose a lot of games early, but the NBA, you could do that. Right. Kylan, seeing this Hawks team improve recently, what's been going right for them, and how has Trae Young kind of took his game to the next level?
I just think Trae's leadership brought that team back together. Your point guard is your leader on almost every team in the NBA. He's a young leader, but those guys follow behind him, and they saw what the performances that he put on in the playoffs last year, and they believe in him. So, you know, all it takes is effort. Once effort is being shown in the locker room, effort is being shown on the court, everybody's going to fall in place.
Okay. Is it reckless for me to even ask this question this early? Do the Hawks look like a team that could go back to the Eastern Conference Finals? I'll start with you, Colin. Do you think that's possible, realistic for them this season? Do you think that they can get back?
Yeah, for sure. I don't think the East has gotten that much better. I don't think the Nets are a real contender without Kyrie Irving, so I think that they can definitely get back.
Okay, so you would have them potentially over the Nets?
Yeah, I think they can beat the Nets in the 7-game series.
Okay. We'll see about the Kyrie thing. It's interesting that, shoot, I thought he would have gave in by now, but look, I respect the man I respect him saying 10 toes down. Mo, can this Hawks team get back to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Oh yeah, I'm with Colin on this one. I'm hurt by the Nets. Actually, I feel like they'll be doing way better than what they're doing right now. I mean, Durant is playing great, but he's only one player. You can't really just put it all on him and Harden like that. You have to have those players around you to do good as well. And without Kyrie right now, they just gonna need some better pieces in there to pretty much fill his shoes. So right now, I'll go Hawks over the Nets too.
I'm surprised you guys are saying that. This Nets team first in the East right now, 15-6. But shoot, you guys have a lot of confidence right now in the Hawks. But moving on to your Bulls, Mo, we'll start with you. Second in the East, 15-8. As expected, a lot of people thought that the Bulls, the baby Bulls, and the Bulls will be back, and they're playing well. DeMar DeRozan, top 5 in scoring. A lot of people thought maybe after he left Toronto that everything will just fall off for him. How do you feel about and Sacramento, and the Spurs? A lot of people were like, okay, well, his career is not over, but playing at this high of a level wasn't going to happen. How impressed are you with DeMar DeRozan and this Bulls team?
I've always been impressed with DeMar DeRozan. He's always been that underrated player for me. Everybody has always pretty much played him down, and he's always been great to me. Even when he was with Toronto, he was great. He was with the Spurs, he did a little something, but when I realized that he was going to the Bulls, and I seen Caruso there, you got Ball, you had Levine there, I was like, yo, they're going to dominate. And it was once upon a time, it was talk to try to get him to the Lakers. And I know the Lakers probably hurt that he didn't come, but I feel like he's playing at his all-time best, pretty much like he was when he was in Toronto. So it's always been up for him.
Absolutely. Look, this Bulls team, I give a lot of credit to this team because there were some people who thought too, maybe they're a little bit overhyped. Let's see how the pieces come together. And it looks like they're gelling well. Second in the East. That's really good. Kylan, your thoughts on DeMar DeRozan's play so far, his impact on the second place Chicago Bulls?
I'm not very impressed with his play. I feel like people who truly understand basketball really know how special DeMar DeRozan has been for his whole career. I think that the fact that he could never get over that LeBron hump made people underrate him. I always put him in that Rudy Gay type of space, like a really good player who scores very well, but people, don't care about them. And then him going to the Spurs and them being irrelevant for a while, people just kind of wrote him off. But I always felt like he was a great player. It's just that, LeBron's the best. So everybody looked at it as if like, you can't be LeBron, you're nobody. But nah, he's always been a great player. Anybody that could score 20 plus per game in the NBA for over 10 seasons is a great player.
Absolutely. And I do think sometimes we do overlook him because when was the last time he didn't average under 20 points a game? He's productive in any system, any situation, under any coach. So we have to give him credit. Let's talk MVP. It is early, still a long season. Start with you on this one, Kylan. Who is your MVP and why?
Steph Curry, man, babyface assassin. I don't even think the race is close at this point. What are they, 18-2? He's number one in scoring. And like I said, Klay is not back. Once that load is off him, he's able to play a little less minutes, pass the ball a little more, and his assist numbers are going to go up. I don't think anybody's going to catch him for this race. I think it's hard to say that 25 games or less in that somebody's locked up MVP, but he pretty much locked it up. I think he's going to break Reggie's record this year too. So,
most def. He's on like what, maybe 74 off.
Yeah, he's going to shatter that record. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
he's still playing another 3 or 4 seasons.
Actually, I'll tell you this: they're definitely getting that. He's definitely getting all the publicity on this one. Like every single time you see the highlights all over the internet, people are really high on this Warriors team. Mo, your MVP, Steph Curry, as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like he came out the gate, and honestly, to me, he's better than the 2016 season when he was shooting the ball. Like,
wow,
this is a whole new level for him. I think it's because, for one, he don't have KD there, so he don't have to share the ball. I mean, he's sharing the ball, but he don't have that other high contender player with him. He has a bunch of role players around him that can get the job done as well, like Jordan Poole. You still got Andre Iguodala. You got Green there. You got those guys too. So it's like you just got the free will to do whatever you want to do, and he just lighting it up from everywhere. So yeah, he's definitely MVP right now.
Green light right now.
Yeah.
Let's continue with this Steph Curry conversation because there was a group of people who were saying last season, including myself at times, well, maybe it's over. Maybe since KD going to the Nets, the party's over. Maybe Steph Curry's dipping a little bit. I was kind of one of those guys when KD left and went to the Nets and they weren't winning championships anymore, but it looked like he's taking his game to the next level. But do you guys feel like mentally some of this comes from maybe the hate he was receiving, saying maybe he isn't the best point guard in the league, maybe it's Damian Lillard, or maybe he needed KD to win those championships and people needed to be reminded that, hey, he won it back in 2015 without him. Do you think that was on his mind is what motivating him to continue to play at a high level? And right now, from what both of you guys are saying, clearly ahead in the MVP race, and this will be his third one, I believe, too, right? You have his third MVP if he wins this year. So, Kylan, do you think mentally that's some of it? People saying, well, you're not KD, sure. KD's gone, the party's over?
For sure. Any great player has to have some type of motive to put them into these modes that he's getting. He's definitely in killer mode right now. It's just the basket's this big for him. It looks like an ocean, and he's filling it up. I think that what plays a big part into his success is just confidence. Like anybody who's crazy enough to pull from 35 feet, once you have that type of confidence, nobody can stop you. And he has the handles to get to any spot on the court on top of that.
Right.
Absolutely, because back to it too, that Damian Lillard thing, especially last year, there was a lot of people saying that maybe Damian Lillard is a better player. But I will say this, and it's not all on Lillard, but this team is 11-12 right now, and he raps about it, and I respect it. I respect it, staying loyal to the Blazers, but when is enough? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying nothing, but maybe when is enough? But to you, Mo, do you think the KD thing was looming in his head? Like they thinking, okay, maybe Steph Curry isn't that guy anymore. Maybe he can't be the best player in the league. Because when he won those back-to-back MVPs, a lot of people were saying, okay, Steph Curry's the best player in the league. He's taken over. He's changing the game. The Warriors are unstoppable. Then when they got KD, it was all she wrote. This team was basically unbeatable. And then they had the injuries, lost in Toronto. But do you think that is maybe his primary motivation coming out here this year and just balling out?
I don't think it's his primary motivation. I feel like it's in his head and it's lingering. It's like, oh, y'all think I can't do it without KD? Okay, I'm gonna show you. But I feel like it's always been him. It's him wanting to get better each year and like not going to the playoffs and being the team being injured and down, and they just been out of the loop for a minute. It was like, all right, we gotta get back to what we used to do. So I feel like it's there, but it's not his biggest motivation.
Okay. Let's move on to the Lakers. The Lakers are 12-11. Look, yeah, exactly, Kyle. You said it with that one. They're 12-11, sixth in the West right now. I really, you know who needs to be bashed a little bit too? I think the Clippers should be a little bit better. Nuggets should be a little bit. There's a lot of teams in the West low-key underachieving, but no more than the Lakers are. 12-11. Kylan, we'll start with you. What is the main issue with this Lakers team?
Okay, so
there might be many issues. Go ahead and explain.
There's 3 issues. For one, Rob Pelinka assembled the retirement home Avengers. We're just too old. That's one of the biggest issues, easily. Number 2, these lineups. Frank Vogel finally came to his senses yesterday and took DeAndre Jordan out of the starting lineup. He's too slow. He's too old. He clogs the paint for Russell Westbrook. And it's just, he doesn't fit. And lastly, health. Nobody can stay healthy. THT comes back. Austin Reeves goes out with a hamstring injury. Avery Bradley's out with a thumb injury. Ariza hasn't even seen the floor. Kendrick Nunn hasn't even seen the floor this season. LeBron was out with an ab injury. Then he tests positive for COVID, misses a game. And then now he's back because he had 8 negative tests. AD has always been walking plastic throughout his whole career. So with him, you never know. Like, he could have a stomach ache today. Tomorrow could be a leg injury. It's just, I don't know. Our best player this year has been Russell Westbrook, surprisingly. And that's crazy because I was irate when we traded for him. I was like, why are we trading for a guard that's 30 plus, can't shoot? And he's been a cancer to most teams that he's been on outside of OKC. So, but he's definitely been our most consistent player this year. And I'm proud of him.
Okay. And he was getting a lot of criticism early in the year, but maybe not as much now. Mo, what's the main issue with this Lakers team? Why are they 12-11 and in 6th place in the Western Conference?
I'm going with the injuries, the defense, and the inconsistency. Like, they are not consistent at all. It's like some nights they come out, they clicking in the first quarter, and then the second, third, and fourth is just like, what happened? Like, it's just like they just leave everything that they did in the first quarter on the bench. Like, all right. Like with the Thunder, they was up. They started laughing, joking, and boom, get beat. I'm like, what happened? You was good in the first quarter. Like you was attacking, you was playing defense, and all of a sudden it just went left. I'm like, all right, okay, cool. This is what we're gonna do all year.
Wow. Do you guys think, because I'm starting to think this too, do you think the media was just pushing them so hard, and maybe just when you look at that roster, they're just, I'm not saying they don't have pieces and names. They do. They've made the changes. I'm not going to make any excuses. But do you think the media just assumed too much that this Lakers team would just automatically just click? Kyler, do you think that it's more the media than building them up?
I don't even want to blame the media. I blame the expectations that's put on a 19-year LeBron. Like, because he's been so great throughout his career, like people don't understand, like, even past his prime. I think he's been out of his prime for what, like at least 2 years now, but he's still so good that people place these expectations on him of carrying any team to the NBA Finals when he simply just can't do that anymore. He had to go get Anthony Davis to win a championship. He's just not that player anymore. But because LeBron's name is attached and went out and got Russell Westbrook, everybody thinks it's championship or bust. For me, I always felt like since we traded for Russ, it's just like, okay, maybe we can make the Western Conference Finals. Okay. With Kawhi out in the West.
And now, do you think there's any way this team changes things around? It is still early. They're 23 games in, but do you see this team just going on a run late in the year and making some noise in the playoffs?
I think Lee GM has to make some trades at the trade deadline for anything to happen for this team.
Okay. And knowing the Lakers, they're probably going to be aggressive and they'll try to make something happen. Mo, do you think this team was even overrated coming into the year, just assuming that they were just going to go to the finals? Do you think it was kind of ignorant that a lot of people were thinking that? Or do you think this team maybe could just change things around? It is 23 games in. Do you see them making noise in the playoffs, or they're just what they
I'm
are?
not gonna lie. I hyped this team. And here's why. I was like, oh, a bunch of veterans, they can figure it out. That's what I was solely depending on. I was like, hey, it's a bunch of veterans. You got LeBron. He can discipline Russell Westbrook out. Maybe he can, the plan was to get the ball out of LeBron's hands so he can do his thing in other places. And I was like, okay, well, maybe if Westbrook has LeBron there and you got Anthony Davis there, maybe he won't get all those turnovers. Maybe he won't be that crutch player that you have to make up for. Did I expect Westbrook to be the most consistent player right now? No, not at all. Was not. But I felt like it was a bunch of veterans. They can figure it out. And yeah, that just went out the window real quick. So
okay, I feel you on that. I'm still a believer in the Lakers, but
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Right now I'm in love with the Suns. I think the Suns are right now. If the playoffs started today, which obviously it's not, I would say the Suns are going to the finals. They look unbeatable right now. They're in that groove. They're in that mindset. They're playing great team ball. Guys are hitting shots. I love the defensive intensity. I love that they're communicating on the court. That would be my pick right now. But before we end things off, we're sponsored by the Level 1 Game Room and Ya Socks. I want to ask you guys this because I didn't understand, but this is crazy. The Grizzlies defeating the Thunder with 152-79. I thought it was a typo at first, and then I seen the breaking. I was like, oh my Lord. How do you lose? How does a team lose by 73 points? This is the biggest ever. The previous one was in the 1991-1992 season when Cleveland defeated the Miami Heat. Wow, that's over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. Do you guys have any reaction for that? My mind is blown. How does that happen?
I don't know. I closed out the ESPN app. I just closed.
When I got the notification from the ESPN app, my eyes were huge. I couldn't believe it because it's just like, okay, I can understand Miami getting beat by that much in the 90s because they were an expansion team. That makes sense. Only person that didn't play for OKC yesterday was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So that means just a lack of effort from everybody, including the coaching staff, the players, and just a lack of pride. I don't care how young you are. I don't care lack of experience. I don't care about any of those type of excuses. To lose by 70 points is disgusting.
It seemed childish to me. Mo, what's your reaction on it? Because my mind is still blown. A team could lose by 73 points. I didn't think that would ever happen. I'm still shocked.
I closed out my app. I seen it, and I was like, all right, I don't know. I don't know what happened. Don't want to know what happened. Hey, I just let it go. I was all right. Okay, cool. I get it. You're supposed to be one of the worst teams in the league, but at that point, your pride is on the line. Like, I'm 20. Okay, I'm hurt, but 70? No, I can't do that. I can't go out like that.
Really? You would have thought you would have seen that effort, and you would have thought that the Grizzlies would have took their foot off the gas. They just kept going.
They were shooting threes with a minute left. I was like, wow, where's the sportsmanship at this one?
Yeah, Grizzlies were like, look, we're playing. We all getting paid out here. We all trying to get our numbers up.
But imagine if Ja Morant played. What did he lose by 90?
Maybe.
That should be the question. Do you think the Thunder will lose by 90 next time?
Like,
wow, that's ridiculous. Wow, I'm still, my mind is still blown. But great show, guys. The final play on the Just Good Network. Thank you, Kylan. Thank you, Mo, for coming in, giving your expertise on these NBA subjects. We're going to do this again next week. Thank you guys all for watching. And again, we are sponsored by the Level 1 Game Room and Ya Socks. I'm Jansen Harris, and you guys have a blessed Friday. Best day of the week.
Yep.